This is a short presentation of the paper Bias-Aware System, exploring indicators for the occurrences of cognitive biases when facing different opinions. I'm Nattapat Boonprakong, and I am presenting this work on the behalf of the co-authors Xiuge Chen, Davey, Benjamin Talk, and Tilman Dingler. Digital technology has allowed us to access any information at any time. However, humans' cognitive resources is limited, and that's why people use cognitive biases to effectively navigate through complex information space. Cognitive biases rely a lot on our existing preferences and beliefs, and they affect how information is perceived and processed by the users. Algorithms and platforms also play a role in amplifying our cognitive biases. When the users roam through the platform, the algorithms learn their preference and feed the user back the biased content. With this loop ongoing, users sink deep down into their biases as the users mostly seek the content that are increasingly reinforcing their preferences. When it comes to polarizing topics like climate change or abortion rights, this sparks healthy public discourses and leads to the creation of echo chamber, filter bubbles, and the spread of misinformation. While it is crucial to mitigate the negative effects of cognitive biases, we first have to understand when and how biases manifest themselves. Being able to sense the occurrences of cognitive biases enable us to design interfaces that help users reflect themselves and overcome their irrationality. Ultimately, this will help mitigate the negative effects of cognitive biases. Potential measures to detect cognitive biases include self-report, behavioral, and physiological measures. Self-reports, however, are not a reliable candidate since people could not be aware of their implicit biases. Meanwhile, behavioral measures have produced mixed findings in previous research. On the other hand, physiological measures show the potential to be the more objective means to quantify our mental states, including cognitive biases. This brings to the focus of our paper, which is to investigate whether physiological signals can be reliable and objective measures of cognitive biases. In this case, we focus biases in a context where individuals face different opinions, or simply information that can be compatible or incompatible with their beliefs. We first conduct study 1 to explore the indicators of cognitive biases. In this study, we exposed users to stimuli that represented opinions on polarizing topics. Meanwhile, we collected behavioral data and physiological data during such exposures. However, we found the results to be inconclusive. While we found that participants tend to spend more time on information that contradicts with their beliefs, we were not sure whether this is an effect from cognitive biases or not. Moreover, the study design did not provide interstimuli intervals. Therefore, physiological responses were confounded as they may not reflect the reactions induced by each stimulus. We then conducted study 2 as a follow-up experiment which accounts the potential confounding factors. In this study, we exposed participants to a series of ideological statements. We source text opinions from 8 different polarizing topics. Each statement expresses opinion on one side of the ideological spectrum, pro or con. For example, supporting abortion rights or opposing same-sex marriage. In this study, we investigate the effects of ideological congruency between the user and the stimulus. Meanwhile, we also explore the effects of the user's topic interest and topic familiarity. Dependent variables of study 2 include self-report measures, where we ask participants to rate their agreement, likelihood to share, and reading effort on each statement they read using 5 Likert scale. Next, we have behavioral measures which include dwelling time and eye tracking data. Lastly, physiological measures include hemodynamic activity from apneas and electrodermal activity or EDA. In this study, participants were presented with stimuli in a random order. For each block, they first read the stimulus, then answer in study survey questions, and enter a 15 seconds resting period before proceeding to the next stimulus. For results, we analyzed the collected data as follows. By performing a one-way repeated measure ANOVA, we found that participants in general spend significantly more time on ideologically dissenting information, or basically information that contradicts with their prior beliefs. Meanwhile, they report higher ratings on agreement and likelihood to share the congruent information. When considering individuals with low topic interest, we found higher reading effort on congruent statements. Lastly, for individuals with high topic interest, we found stronger effect sizes on dwelling time, agreement, and likelihood to share the content when compared to the general population. For physiological measures, we did not detect any effect of ideological congruency. However, when considering the low interest population, we found significant effects on the brain oxygenation level during the beginning of each stimulus exposure. Additionally, we trained binary classifiers on the data we collected to distinguish the exposures to congruent information from the dissenting ones. We used linear discriminant analysis, support vector machines, random forest, and XGBoost. Through a 5-fold cross validation, we achieved the highest accuracy of 55.27% on the XGBoost algorithm. Our classification models perform slightly better than the chance level. This brings us to the discussion that, first, we can sense the occurrences of cognitive biases through physiological signals, particularly apneas. Second, we found that topic interest influences the expressions of biases. In low interest individuals, we found the effects of ideological congruency on the brain oxygenation levels and the self-report reading effort. Meanwhile, we found stronger effect sizes on dwelling time and likelihood to share the content in high-interest individuals. This can be explained by the dual process theory and the two-step model of processing conflicting information. When facing information, individuals tend to save up their cognitive resources by employing their prior beliefs as a shortcut for processing information, which results in the use of System 1 thinking and cognitive biases. Meanwhile, individuals with background knowledge may engage in elaborative processing where System 2 thinking is used. Therefore, we hypothesize that cognitive biases are more pronounced in individuals with low topic interest, while those with higher topic interest are more tolerant against cognitive biases. In conclusion, we have contributed towards the creation of bias-aware systems, which are defined as computing systems that detect and take into account the presence of cognitive biases in users. With multimodal data collected in our study, we observed the reactions of cognitive biases in the context of opinion information processing. Ultimately, being able to quantify the occurrences of cognitive biases would allow researchers to closely study the influence that user interfaces and algorithms have on opinion formation. Therefore, we could design and develop interventions to effectively mitigate the negative effects of cognitive biases. And this concludes the presentation. For more information, please refer to the paper, and thank you for listening.